One. Daniel Richter is a Canadian singer-songwriter with quite a story to tell. He's a church boy turned successful rock singer who comes back to church. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, how's it going, Bill? Nice to meet you.
Really good to have you here, and I was really anxious to get to the meat of your story here. You were you were once the lead singer of a band called 11 Past One, a very popular pop band.
Yeah,
And you were actually signed to a Warner Music Canada contract.
that's
And
right.
in 2013, you found success with a chart topping single. The song was called The World Is Ours. And
hmm
that song amassed millions and millions on streams of airplay. And
hmm
that would seem to me like every singer's dream, but yet it wasn't. Why?
I mean, you would think so, right? And
Yeah.
I think back then, I mean, it was my dream. I think I was pursuing my dreams and maybe not God's dreams. I mean, I went through a lot. I mean, God has called me now into the Christian music industry, and He's always wanted me there. I truly know that now, but it took me a lot of time to get here. Call me a late bloomer, but I'm here now, and I'm ready to be used by God, and He is. He's moving. He's moving.
Well, of course, you didn't leave the music business, but I'll ask you this. How is the world of contemporary Christian music different from, well, the mainstream, the secular music world, which commands and creates stars that are, playing to tens of thousands of people? I don't think
Yeah.
you're running into that, are you?
No, like, I mean, it's different in a lot of ways, obviously, because, like, I'm singing for my savior now, like back then I felt like I was still I was always saying like, God, you can use me in this industry. Like, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. You can use me here, but that was not his plan. So I mean, it's a lot different in a lot of ways because I was sort of putting on a stage presence back then, and now I'm just really being myself, being the true worshiper that God has called me to be. Um, and yeah, it's just different in all areas because it's all about Jesus now, right? Like, I'm singing about Jesus, I'm talking about Jesus. My social media looks different, and I always struggled with social media. Like, what do I post? And, how do I portray this star, the star quality? But it's not about that anymore. It's about portraying like Jesus is the star, right? So that with is coming a lot easier to me now too, like even just social media stuff, because I'm just like throwing out Bible verses, what I read that day, and just helping people. I think it's a lot easier.
You mentioned you were out there just performing. And isn't that the nature of the secular music business anyway? It's who performs the best. I mean,
For
there are
sure.
lots of great writers, lots of great musicians, lots of great singers, but it's the stage presence that divides and sets them apart.
Yeah,
You don't have to do that in the Christian field.
I don't think so. No, because you're just worshiping God, and whatever He wants is gonna happen, like. And it's so true though. Like, I was always putting on a front. Like, I remember playing Canada Day. We were the opener, or sorry, not the opener. We were the headliner for Canada Day in Richmond Hill, Ontario, and we were playing in front of thousands of people. And I'll never forget it because when I got off stage, my sister was backstage, and she came up to me. She's like, Daniel, how did you do that? Like, you just like turned it on. I'm like, yeah, it's like a light switch, right? Like, you have to be kind of someone that you're not. I mean, not all performers are, but for me, I think I was being someone that I really wasn't. Now I'm being exactly who I am, you know?
Now, as you described it a moment ago, and now you're singing for Jesus, singing about Him, and you're a believer and you profess it.
Yeah.
That was the case before as well. You didn't have a transformation, an aha moment, the light bulb went on, and you found faith. You had been born and raised with it. So,
That's right.
how did you cut? Were you slipping away? Were you? How did that work?
Yeah, like for sure. I mean, I've been through a lot. I mean, after university, I moved to LA with my band, and you know how they say LA swallows you whole. And, I fell into, alcohol and addictions, certain different addictions. And I definitely was living my life, I guess, for myself, like just chasing what felt good in the moment, right? But I always, at the end of the day, I always still had a relationship with God. Even though I was going through all that stuff, I was never like turning my back on God. And I can honestly say that. And because of that, and because of God's grace and his love, he slowly showed me over the years, and he slowly pulled me in. And it just changed. Yeah. So there was no aha moment for me. It was a long road of just falling on my knees when I did something wrong, falling towards Christ and not away, right? And when we do that, God allows we allow God to work through us when we're reaching out to him consistently, right? So, yeah, back then I was a little messed up and God brought me through it, and now I have a beautiful wife and three children, three young kids. Um, a 3 month old, a 1 year old, and a 5 year old. And I'm leading worship now at my church. I've been doing that for about 2 years now. God's just really transforming my life, and it was a slow process. It was.
For those who don't know, when you say you're leading worship at your church, in many small churches that's a volunteer thing, but
Mm,
in substantial churches that makes you the music pastor. Are
mm.
you the volunteer or the pastor?
Well, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not a pastor by all means, but I'm not just volunteering my time. I'm I guess you could say maybe I'm on staff a little bit, but I'm the worship director. I'm the worship leader. I'm the one who kind of puts the whole team together. I schedule the rehearsals, all the music. I take care of all the media people, and so I'm kind of the overseer of all things music when it comes to the church.
It's just a typical church role where
Yeah,
you have two full-time jobs in one. And you don't get paid for it. I
yeah.
understand. Yeah. Now you tell me that I told others, in fact, that Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake and Chris Brown, they're singers with Elevation. You said they greatly influenced you. Did they influence you to change from the secular music field, or did they just influence your heart and the music?
I think they mostly influence my heart as a musician and the music that I want to put out. Um, yeah, because it wasn't these artists that made me feel like I can be a Christian artist now. So yeah, I would say that it's mostly their music and stuff that inspires me. The way that I want to write, the way that I want to sound too sonically a lot of the time. So yeah.
What about 11 past one? What happened to the rest of the band?
Well, the guitarist is my younger brother, Steven. So he's definitely fully still in my life. We actually own and run an asphalt company together, along with my other younger brother, Joey. So we do that. So I see him every day. The drummer, Steve-O, he still lives in town. I don't see him very often, but every once in a while. And same with the bassist, Justin. I mean, we're still good friends. We see each other often too. So yeah,
Well, let's turn to your music now. Tell us a little bit about the light that shines.
yeah. So "Light That Shines" is basically a song that was that was born with a lot of powerful, relatable themes. Like it's talks on redemption and hope, second chances. It talks about how I was wanting to I felt really shameful with the things that I've done in the past. Like some of the lyrics say like I regret the things that I've done, and God, it just takes you kind of through this story of being kind of lost, realizing your mistakes, and then the chorus really has this perspective of wanting to shine your light for God. Like, no matter what you've done in the past, you have this light inside of you, and it's meant to be shared. So
And
that's,
I'm going to share it
yeah.
here after this interview. We play it on our station as well, and happy to do so.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
but that's just the start. You've got a new work underway right now, a 3 song extended play, an EP. Tell us about these songs. Is this a following on the line of a light that shines?
Yeah, it's kind of it kind of brings you through a little bit of my life process, because like you know, the other songs are going to take you through stages. Like the next song talks about somebody who is well, I won't give too much away.
No,
But
no,
you know,
no.
it's
Just stop and sing it to us. That'll do
yeah, yeah,
it.
I'll just give it all away, right? But no, there's definitely the songs definitely align. So like I'm starting with Light That Shines because it's like, hey, I was in the mainstream industry, now I want to shine my light for Jesus. You know, the second song lines you up from taking you through a story of like who I was before, the struggles, maybe unbelief a little bit. And then it brings you through a story of, and by the end of the song, it's about somebody who's given their life fully to Christ, who's worshiping Him now, and, telling others about Him now. And then, like, the third song is going to be, well, it is a worship song. So, yeah. They all kind of coincide together.
Now, you mentioned the third song's a worship song, and I was going to ask you about that.
Mm,
In today's world of Christian music, the contemporary music field is very entertaining. It's all uplifting music, telling of a good message, and so on.
mm.
Oftentimes, people will listen, and they think they're listening to any contemporary song, unless they focus in on the lyrics and so on. But the one thing that it doesn't normally lend itself to is for congregations to sing along with you in church. Now, is that one song the only one that you could perhaps take to your praise team?
I think so. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, there's a difference between contemporary pop or contemporary Christian pop or whatever you want to call it. There's a difference between that and then the worship. Like you said, like I think worship is something that you can take to your congregation, and you know, it worship is something where it's like a dialogue, I guess, to God, right? Like you're saying things to Him. You're not just telling a story about your life in this song, right? You're glorifying Him. You're basically talking to Him. That's what I think like a more of a worship song is. Well,
Now
even though
we
I am talking, well, I am kind of talking to Him though in my other songs too. But you know what I mean, right?
I do, and I was just
Yeah.
going to say that we know of a lot of people who start out in churches, or in your case, you start out in the secular world, but they start out doing one thing, and then progress if they have the chops, they progress to more commercial, if you will. And I can think of a number of people who come out of a praise team singing in church, singing with the congregation,
Hmm.
but those songs aren't going to put you into the music business. It
Right.
takes a different kind of song.
That's
And
right.
then the people that you used to sing with in church are saying, I can't sing your songs anymore. And they kind of miss that. But there's a great, huge, vast difference between what's sung in church. And I mean, go back in time, it used to be that if it wasn't 200 years old, it wasn't sung in church. And nowadays, of course, we've got contemporary worship music. And some Canadians who are doing very, very well in that field, in fact, and have spent their entire lives and entire career doing worship in churches as part of a tour and doing maybe a Saturday night concert. But
Yeah.
even there, the songs are worshipful songs, not pop songs. And so
Right.
I'm just wondering if you're going to find yourself leaning more and more and more to the worship stuff or continuing with the pop stuff.
Yeah, it's so hard because like I love the pop stuff, and I feel like I'm pretty good at writing pop songs because that's what I've been doing for well over a decade. But I think God is definitely bringing me into the worship songs too. I know I've had a lot of different people, just elders in the church and from the prayer team and stuff, have words for me lately from God, just like that God's going to sort of download these songs and give me these new songs. So like I'm feeling like it's probably going to be worship, but who knows what God has in store. I think like, the Brandon Lakes and the Phil Wickhams of the Christian industry, they have figured out this really good sweet spot where they have songs that are sung congregationally in the church, but then they're also played all over the radio as well. So they're able to find that sweet spot where it's kind of both. And I think I want to try and find that too.
Well, I'll take exception to a little bit of what you just said.
Yeah.
There are certain bands, certain groups who will perform in churches. They will be the worship in churches, and the congregation will sit and enjoy and feel the emotion of it all, but they don't get to sing along with them. And that's the difference, I think, between a worship leader and
Yeah.
a Christian performer. And in large churches and large centers, it's quite common for them to have their in-house band, if you will, and they will sing the wonderful contemporary Christian music, but not with the participation of the congregation. And that's a subtle difference, but it really
Yeah.
separates the big churches from the old little churches.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I was looking to you thinking, here's the guy might be able to bring it all together in one and let us sing along with him.
Well, that's exactly what I want to do. So you're right about that.
Where do you
Yeah.
go from here? A tour coming up? I mean, you used to tour with the pop band, so you're no stranger to what that means, and away from home and all the travel and late nights. Is that
Yeah.
something that's in the cards with you?
Well, definitely for the future, but as for right now in this season, I'm just trying to put out this music, and just because I'm so new to this industry, it's the touring is probably going to come a little bit later, but who knows what God has in store? He can set up a tour tomorrow if he wants. But as of now, I'm just trying to make relationships in the industry, and my song's starting to play on the radio, so I just want to make a little bit of a splash, and then we'll see. We'll go from there. I'm sure I'll be playing shows in the near future. Yeah.
Daniel Richter, full of the spirit, ready for a splash. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks so much, Bill. Appreciate it.